How does someone with unlimited power turn into an actual monster? History has some insane stories of leaders who were just pure evil. We're talking about rulers who forced millions into slavery, tortured people for fun, and made life a living nightmare for literally everyone. Today, we're counting down the 10 most brutal rulers in history. The ones whose greed for power left a scar on the world you can still see today. Kicking off our list, and number 10 is a king so cruel, his evil reputation is legendary. King John of England ruled from 1199 to 1216, and people remember him as a greedy, paranoid, and all-around terrible king. A monk literally wrote that hell itself is made worse by the presence of John. That's how much people hated this guy. You might know him from Robin Hood, but it was his ruthless sheriff, Philip Mark, who was probably the real-life sheriff of Nottingham. John was obsessed with money. He scammed his own courts for bribes, charged his friends insane fees, and was ruthless about debts. But it wasn't just about the money. John was unbelievably paranoid. He probably murdered his own nephew, Arthur of Brittany, just to keep his throne. He treated prisoners horribly and was famous for taking the wives and daughters of his own friends as mistresses, which was a huge deal back then. His own friends got so fed up, they forced him to sign the Magna Carta in 1215, a document literally created just to stop him. At number 9 is a king who 100% earned his nickname, Pedro the Cruel. His reign in the 14th century was a total theater of violence and betrayal. Pedro didn't just use cruelty for shock. He used it as a weapon, and he aimed it at the people closest to him. He was not afraid to kill family. He ordered his own half-brother, Frederick Alfonso, to be assassinated, and then probably had his wife, Blanche of Bourbon, imprisoned and murdered too. His entire time as king was one giant civil war against his other half-brother, Henry, that ripped the kingdom apart. Pedro's methods were savage. His alliances were worthless. At number 8, we have a king whose name has been famous for being a villain for thousands of years. Herod the Great, a king in Judea back in 37 BCE, was a total paradox. This is wild. On one hand, he was an amazing builder, responsible for insane projects, like expanding the Second Temple in Jerusalem. But on the other, he was an insane, paranoid tyrant. The historian Josephus tells us Herod killed his own wife, Mariamne, her mom, her brother, and 3 of his own sons, all because he was scared they'd take his throne. But his most famous evil act? The massacre of the innocents, from the Gospel of Matthew. The story says he heard a new king of the Jews was born, so he ordered every single baby boy in Bethlehem under 2 years old to be killed. Now, it's crazy, but historians today aren't sure this actually happened, since no one else wrote about it. But still, the story made him a legendary villain. Coming in at number 7 is the guy who was so cruel he inspired Dracula. This is Vlad the Impaler. Ruling in the mid-15th century, Vlad used insane levels of terror to control his land and fight his enemies. Some people in Romania think he's a hero for fighting off an empire. But trust me, his methods were absolutely monstrous. He got his nickname from his favorite way to kill people: impalement. It's a slow, horrible death where people were put on giant, sharp stakes. He did this to thousands. After one battle in 1462, he made a forest of the impaled, which was just thousands of impaled enemy prisoners set up to scare off anyone else who tried to attack. Can you imagine seeing that? And he didn't just do it to soldiers. He once invited hundreds of rich nobles to a party, then had them captured. He impaled the old ones right there and forced the younger ones into slave labor. Some people say he killed 100,000 people, but it was probably more like tens of thousands, which is still a crazy number. At number 6 is a guy whose name literally meant terror in the 5th century: Attila the Hun. Known as the Scourge of God, Attila led his empire on a rampage across Europe from 434 to 453 AD. He started his rule by murdering his own brother. What a start, right? For Attila and his armies, human life meant nothing. They just burned cities and slaughtered everyone in their path. His invasions were so brutal that starvation and disease followed them everywhere they went. He basically weaponized terror, building a reputation so savage that cities would surrender the second he showed up. If you resisted, your city was completely destroyed. Attila's brutal attacks tore apart civilizations and left a huge scar on the Roman Empire, representing the absolute worst of ancient warfare. We're only halfway through the list, and I promise you, it gets so much worse. If you think this is crazy, smash that like button and subscribe right now, because you will not believe who is in the top 5. Kicking off the top 5 is one of the most successful and most brutal conquerors ever: Genghis Khan. In the 13th century, he united the Mongol tribes and created the biggest empire the world has ever seen. But he did it by killing an unbelievable number of people. We're talking up to 40 million people dead. Genghis Khan's rule was simple: surrender or you die. Cities that fought back were completely annihilated. His armies would kill the rich and the soldiers, and then use the regular people as human shields in their next battle. This wasn't just random cruelty. It was a terrifying message. His armies would build towers out of human skulls as a monument to their victory. Literal skull towers. His campaigns destroyed entire regions so badly that the populations never recovered. At number 4, we have a guy who killed an estimated 20 million people. And some numbers are even higher. This is Joseph Stalin, the dictator of the Soviet Union. During a time called the Great Terror, he got rid of anyone he thought was a threat. He executed hundreds of thousands of people and sent millions more to the gulags, insane prison camps in Siberia, where people were literally worked to death in the freezing cold. He also caused one of the worst man-made famines in history, the Holodomor. He took all the food from farms in Ukraine, leaving millions to starve to death in what many people now call a genocide. It got so bad that people were forced to eat tree bark, weeds, and even each other. Get this, when his own son was captured in World War II, the Germans offered to trade prisoners. Stalin said no, because any soldier who was captured was a traitor. Number 3 is an emperor whose name literally means crazy and evil, Caligula. His rule from AD 37 to 41 started out okay, but after he got really sick, he went completely insane. He declared himself a living god and made everyone worship him. He blew through all of Rome's money on ridiculous, expensive projects. But his spending was as wild as his cruelty. His motto was literally, "Let them hate me, so long as they fear me." He killed for fun, executing government officials and even family members whenever he felt like it. The stories about him are insane. It's said he built a 2-mile floating bridge just to ride his horse across it. And he even joked about making his favorite horse Insiditus, a high-ranking government official. A horse. He was so awful that after only 4 years, his own bodyguards couldn't take it anymore and killed him. In our number 2 spot is Russia's first ever Tsar, Ivan IV, or Ivan the Terrible. And trust me, he earned that nickname with his insane fits of cruelty. His reign in the 16th century turned into a paranoid nightmare, especially after he decided his wife had been murdered. In response to betrayals, he imagined everywhere. He created the Oprichniki, his own secret police who wore all black and terrorized everyone. The worst thing they did was the massacre of Novgorod. Ivan thought the city was going to betray him. So he and his police force raided it for weeks. They pillaged, burned, tortured, and killed thousands of men, women, and children. Historians think they slaughtered between 2,000 and 12,000 people. It was a complete nightmare. And in one of his rages, he hit and killed his own son and heir, an act that haunted him forever. Before we reveal the most monstrous ruler in human history, the one whose cruelty left scars still visible today, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and turned on the bell icon. Because what's coming next will make every other name on this list look merciful. And for our number 1 spot, we have a king who caused one of the worst genocides ever, all for money, and he never even visited the country he destroyed. This is King Leopold II of Belgium. This one man is responsible for the deaths of around 10 million people in the Congo. 10 million. In the late 1800s, Leopold got a huge chunk of Africa as his personal property, and he called it the Congo Free State. He told the world he was on a humanitarian mission, But he was lying. It was actually a giant slave camp to make him personally rich. He forced the people of the Congo to harvest rubber and ivory. His private army enforced quotas that were impossible to meet. If people didn't collect enough rubber, his soldiers would chop off the hands and feet of men, women, and even children as a warning. This is unbelievable. Soldiers had to turn in one severed hand for every bullet they used, just to prove they didn't waste it. This wasn't a war. This was a holocaust caused by one man's greed. From insane tyrants to greedy kings, these 10 rulers are the absolute worst humanity has to offer. Their stories are an insane reminder of what happens when one person gets too much power and no one holds them accountable. History is full of powerful people who did terrible things, but the legacy of these 10 people is written in the blood of millions, leaving scars we can literally still see today. Who do you think is the most brutal ruler in history? Did we miss anyone? Let me know in the comments. If you learned something new and want more insane history videos like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.